bull.
Oh, Nana. Oh, you feel so good. All right. I mean, feeling that, right?
Ew.
So do you remember the guy who brought you... And also...
Can never harm an innocent. And so, Aku, it cannot harm me, but it can harm you.
Well, apparently we're getting a return to form of 2D animation in the style of dog, spicy content.
Fuck me.
We're gonna go out there and suck every bit of fun out of those balls before you lose them.
We're all gonna suck your balls.
What?
Because this is what passes for comedy now. Trust me, I know a lot of comedy can be subjective. Some people might find that people falling off of buildings and splattering on the ground is hilarious, even if it's for real. People might look at clips of hippos and think that for whatever reason them just existing is hilarious. I get it, people find certain things funny. We can also argue that you might be a tad bit sociopathic if you find certain crimes being committed to very innocent real-life victims funny, you know, that there's something wrong with you. I also am of the belief that comedy also has an era. Like, the types of comedy has an era. You know, when maybe at its peak, most people mainstream would find it funny. And call me crazy, I 100% believe that people should have creative freedom, but it is a tad bit jarring. And I don't know if this is some kind of conspiracy to try and make 2D animation as unsavory as possible, or so that if it doesn't do well, or people are turned off by it, they can say, well, I guess people don't want the 2D animation they claim they did, which we all know is not true because we still have anime and people are consuming that like it's going out of style.
Fuck me.
So I tried to break down why people didn't like this trailer aside from, I don't know, even though the dogs are a little bit anthropomorphized, they don't feel like they are enough for it to feel like we're not looking at dogs. I watched an actual, like, other movie, I forgot the name of it, but the dogs are real, and when they're talking, it looks CGI, but that seemed to be outrageous as well, and I think I did a review on it, and if I'm not mistaken, and that seemed to tell a better story, and even the raunchy jokes, they felt better, because I don't know, it felt like it was more in tone with the movie. But then when we look at the marketing of this production, seeing as the trailer leans almost entirely on jokes like the dog being like, fuck me, or the dick being wrapped and acknowledged by a talking animal saying,
Yeah, that's my dick.
like, ew. Like, it just immediately sends this message that this is going for, hey, let's shock the shit out of the audience. Let's just give them shock value over substance. Like, if anyone uses as a poster, sorry, or a still for this movie, like, first of all, like, I don't even, that's so gross. Ugh. Look, there are quite a bit of people who don't consider themselves prudes when it comes to adult humor, but at the very least, a lot of people just expect some level of cleverness or at least some deeper things beneath the vulgarity. When it's just stripper bitches backing that ass up on a pole while looking suggestive and moaning, or it's just dog, dick, and ball jokes and edgelord style humor with zero emotional core, it just feels really, it feels lazy. You know, like the film is trying to kind of coast the line of being crazy outrageous without actually saying anything. And that's kind of difficult to believe considering that this film took a while to be made. Now, according to Genndy Tartakovsky himself, the idea for the film came about in 2009 when he wanted to capture the dynamic of his friend group as an animal road trip film under the title Buds. Sounds wholesome, right? The film, as said here in Wikipedia, was supposed to consist of different types of animals, but apparently an executive said that it wasn't a strong enough hook, right? It just wasn't hitting. Needed a better hook. And that's when Tartakovsky asked him, okay, what if one of them is a dog and he realizes he's gonna get his balls chopped off in the morning? And yeah.
Nice!
For me, that's a really huge shift from what was originally thought. You know what I'm saying? And funny enough, because the film was titled This Shift After That Decision, and then it eventually became fixed or broken, depending on how you look at it. Where the fuck are its eyes? Bro, are you okay? And why are there, like, back doors so freaking pronounced on all of them? Like... Jeez, I can't. In 2018, it was stated that Genndy Tartakovsky was going to be the one who was responsible for writing and directing this film. Our beloved creator of one of the best works I have ever seen, Primal. He said that the camaraderie between the characters were supposed to be in the same vein as movies 40-Year-Old Virgin and Knocked Up. This one I did not see, though. But I did watch this one with my dad. Completely different premise of what I'm seeing in this trailer, or like a completely different feel. Like, I don't know, dude. Now, granted, the movie could be better than what is just shown in the trailer. And whoever is responsible for putting this trailer together, good lord, what were you doing? But then again, I can't really blame them, because it's not even just the fact that these kind of jokes are in there. There's nothing inherently wrong with them, but it's just the way they're executed and voiced. The lead character, which is a dog that's supposed to get neutered, like, ew, sorry. It's just, ugh, gross. I'm not saying that he's supposed to be a freaking Chad, which is gonna make people, like, you know, thirst over him or anything like that. You know, that in and of itself is a problem. You know what I mean, though. Gross. Like, what in the... For me, it just makes it nastier, because he feels more like a dog with that kind of personality. I'm not gonna sit here and be a hypocrite, because I've written stories about people who were human beings turning into animals, then they have to, like, live their life out as an animal that they turned into against their will, or point of view perspectives of animals and how they would view their situations. But it has to make sense from the view of the animal. If you're gonna make some kind of raunchy scene with an animal, it has to make sense and not come off like some kind of punchline, like, see kids, we could be edgy too, kind of situation. Like, it has to actually make sense. Like I said, this has been done before with other animal movies, even in the older ones that I've gone back and found, where they'll have the dogs, like, screwing other dogs. It's supposed to be a joke, because a dog is going around and has a dog girlfriend that he escapes his owner's house to go see, and he's being really raunchy with her, and raunchy with his owners, you know, like, I think there were, what was that movie I watched also? I think it was, had a St. Bernard in it. Beethoven, I think, maybe that was one. Or Bingo. Like, I collected a whole bunch of, like, I love animals so much, I collected a bunch of, like, wholesome dog movies, and they're just really sweet. There's this old one called Homeward Bound. Love that movie. Oh my gosh, one of my favorites. So if you love dogs and you want to, like, go back to the classics, because, like, in our parents' time, they had some really good dog movies. For, like, a section of, like, a decade, they were just making dog movies. It was really, really cool. And you did have a lot of those scenes in there. But it makes sense, because there's more substance in the movie than just that. And that part of him being a dog is just a very small part of the story. Unless you're talking about the live action ones. Now, granted, that might be the same case here in the trailer, but when you lead with this...
Up there. Anna. Yeah.
And this is how you market your movie, I don't really see how that helps, because it does come off as though this has no substance whatsoever, and that the person behind this has no idea what comedy is, and they're just trying to be as edgy as possible and trying to take what would otherwise be internal humor for you and your boys, just airing it out for everyone and expecting us to all get it. Like, you have to be a special kind of Dave Chappelle level of talent to be able to execute that efficiently and have it get across to a large audience.
You know what I mean?
And I don't mean the 5% of people that are going to be offended over it because they're offended over everything. I mean, like, general, regular, functional people. And I think the other reason why people are turned off by that trailer is because it probably feels like tonal whiplash from Genndy Tartakovsky, who is said to be very brilliant. And I think he's an amazing artist. Like, he's the mind behind Samurai Jack, which is very poetic, minimalistic, and it's filled with all this visual storytelling. We got Primal, which is one of my favorites, which does have brutality personality and no dialogue, almost no dialogue, but it is very emotional and deeply human, despite being set in the prehistoric time and having a lot of dinosaur themes, which I love. For me, that was his latest work, aside from the Unicorn Warrior people, which I didn't really like all that much. I fell off of it. Apparently, he's also the mind behind Clone Wars, which I didn't watch, but apparently everybody and their grandmother says that it was really groundbreaking for its time and still really good. And apparently he's behind Hotel Transylvania as well, which I still I have not watched that. But you get it. You get the tone of these types of movies. So to go from that to this.
Yeah, that's my dick.
I mean, pole dances and talking and making jokes about how they're gonna suck a dog's balls. Like, come on, what are we doing? I don't even want to say that's edgy because it just feels extremely awkward and weird. Not in a good way, though. And I know this seems like a stretch, but imagine Christopher Nolan coming out with a production that's just a bunch of people making fart jokes, and he went from making the type of stuff he made to just, hey guys, my ass looks like a banana. Want to touch that? Want to put some potato in my potassium? It's just a really weird shift for someone like him to take, and even if I hadn't known it was him, it would still be very off-putting. I don't know what it is specifically about that trailer. It's just very off-putting. And the first thing that comes to mind that is as close to off-putting as this is are these clips that I used to see on the internet of these characters called Ren and Stimpy. And oh my freaking god, that's not edgy. To me, personally, that's not it. That's like if a kid, like some random kid's like, oh look, I'm gonna start making butt jokes. And they're thinking like, oh, that's gonna get me cred, I'm gonna get respect. I don't know, I guess people were just expecting something a little bit better from someone. If they're like, oh, I've been working on this project for over a decade or about a decade, you're expecting them to come out with something that's gonna rival the best work that they have out at the moment. And speaking of off-putting, I think the other reason people are not vibing with the actual trailer, like, it seems to cross this line between the creatures being anthropomorphized and actual animals. Like, there's a psychological discomfort that people experience when they see realistic dogs or characters where a huge part of their identity is that animal or a dog, instead of, you know, portrayals of items or animals like in Sausage Party or BoJack Horseman, you know, but actual dog-shaped dogs being sexualized or talking about their undercarriages. When dogs are saying, oh yeah, that's my dick, when a human is grabbing, it just hits that weird zoophilic, is that the word? Feeling of overwhelming discomfort for a lot of people. I don't think people think that the animators or the creators necessarily promoting it, even though it can be seen that way. But just the implication, the imagery, and then you meld all of that into like the vulgarity of the language and the phrases that these doggy dogs are using to make people recoil for the sake of shock. It's just gonna give you the desired effect, which is make people run away, you know? Especially when it's clearly being done for shock value, and people can tell. If the dogs were walking upright and had stylized faces or were more humanoid in the way that they were designed, I guess the disconnect could be a little easier. But these look and act like dogs, I think that kind of realism within even the 2D animation space, it kills the comedy, and people are going to be repulsed by it. Now, on the other hand, if you had dog-shaped dogs like in Dalmatians, or rather 101 Dalmatians, and All Dogs Go to Heaven, and even Balto, or situations like it where you see that there's the male character and the female character, and they're about to kiss, or the most famous one, The Lion King, you'll notice that they're so personified and more human than they are lions that even though the lion is a big part of their identity, it's not vulgar to the part where, like, bro, what is like, everybody who saw this, like, we're like, okay, like, everybody, even the adults that I knew that watched this, like, they would always replay this for the younger generation. My father and my mom showed me this, and I was like, first time I saw this movie, was like, oh my god. And then we're like over at a family reunion, and all the adults that hadn't seen it for the first time, they saw it for whatever reason, and they were all screaming at this part, and they're like, ah! Because everybody knows the universal language for a woman who wants to get banged. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is this face, Nala? It's like, yeah, Simba, like, I've been waiting for this forever. And Simba's like, oh my god. It's so freaking obvious. And the thing is, it's relatable because we all know what that's like. We've all been there in this situation, and kudos to Nala, like, just taking what she wants. You know what I'm saying? She's like, okay, I need to let you know very loudly what I want, and because you're not gonna do it. So one of us has to do something, right? But that's what I'm saying. Like, the lion is a big part of their identity, but nobody's expecting, like, oh, we're gonna watch lions banging each other. This was tasteful, it was done well. We're watching lions be lions, and the romantic aspect of who they are just happens to be part of their identity, just happens to be part of the story, a smaller part of the story, and it was done so well. I love the scene so much. Now I want to watch it again. Oh my god, such a great movie. And you know, my husband still hasn't watched this, but then we started watching it and we were doing work on the house right now, so the surround system isn't up, and when I heard the music, I'm like, no. The music, the soundtrack of this movie is one of the best things about it. You cannot watch this movie on a freaking temporary sound bar. So no, we have to wait till everything's set up and then we'll watch it together because the music here, oh, and then the way they make Africa look so beautiful, like it just captures the magic. Oh my god, I miss 2D animation so much. This is what people mean when they say they want 2D animation back. Not whatever the hell this is.
Oh, Nana. Oh, you feel so good. All right.
This is not what people were talking about. This is not what people we're talking about. Like, why do these studios hate us so much? Like, what did we do to them? What did we do besides give you money? What did we do? Good lord. And see, for The Lion King, nobody had a problem when they were watching adult Simba and Nala play a role with each other, and a lot of people found that scene sexy because the lions were anthropomorphized enough that you forget that they're lions. And I think people, and even a lot of creators of these animated shows, have this conception or misconception that adult animation needs to just have shock and complete adult themes for the sake of having them to be called adult animation. I mean, I did a similar thing with this channel when we were getting hit with all the Kappa stuff, remember that? And the only way that I could get around it was to cuss in every single one of my videos. Otherwise, for some stupid reason, videos that barely had any kind of cartoon or even they just had a random cartoon character in there that wasn't even a child cartoon character, for the 1 second of the video, it would just hard set into, oh, this video is for kids. And I don't know why that was happening. I was the only one it was happening to. And then when I started cussing in the videos, they left me alone. Oh my god, you're cussing? So you must be an adult channel and not for kids. It's just a really simple and stupid, overly simplistic way of looking at things, but I guess that's just how it is. But when it comes to adult productions like shows or movies, it's not just about ham-fisting in adult themes for the sake of ham-fisting them in, or you know, just putting them in just for the sake of doing it, just because you want shock value. You need to do it when the story requires it. Rick and Morty or South Park, you know, their crudeness serves as satirical or for a narrative purpose. And I don't feel like I can say that with confidence with Rick and Morty anymore, because it's starting to go down that road as well, with things just being references and adult quote-unquote humor for the sake of adult humor, even when they don't necessarily make sense. So with Fix, people feel like it's all set up, there's no punchline, just a wall of shocking sex jokes delivered through dogs without clever commentary or a reason for it, you know, to be animated besides, oh, we couldn't get away with this in live action, so we're just gonna do this just because people are watching animated stuff nowadays, but it's adults watching them, so here we go. And like I said, even if the movie has deeper themes like freedom and mortality or identity, the trailer doesn't really show that. It shows a freaking ugly-ass dog beating off to Granny's legs and jokes about their genitals every few seconds. That's what gets shared. That's what everybody saw universally. So people are understandably like,
Really?
It feels like something that would have been edgy in like 2003, but now just feels like you're trying too hard to be not for kids, while at the same time it's a conundrum because it's like they're also saying this is what the kids are laughing at nowadays, because it certainly isn't what adults are laughing at, unless you have a special kind of humor that has nothing to do with things being funny. But then again, Like I said, subjectivity, I guess. I could be saying that, and there's a huge subset of people who like this. I'm just saying, I tend to be pretty open when it comes to ideas in the animation space, and even I was repulsed by the presentation of this. Not even necessarily the content of it, just the way it was packaged and marketed. It just comes off as extremely, icky. Like, ugh. Freaking hell. It just feels and looks juvenile, creatively lazy, and just honestly borderline bestial in its tone, especially coming from a creator known for deep visual, emotional, resonating storytelling. Now, I will give it it's possible we could all be wrong, and this passion project is showing all the worst parts of itself, so it can surprise us that this is only a very minimal part of the movie. Maybe they change the animation later. Maybe the entire thing changes, and our curiosity will reward us in the end. Who knows? If that's the case, you know, how are people even going to come see this when they're just, like, turned off to it? Like, if I had to make a trailer or an audio trailer based on my fan fiction of the Godzilla series, and I only chose the parts where Mothra was really drunk and the parts where she was with Godzilla or almost mated with Rodan, understandably people would probably be like, what the frick is this? And the people who are the niche audience that would be going just for that reason, like, would also equally be disappointed because I would have marketed that so they could think that's the entire package, only to be disappointed when they find out that 90% or 95% of the story is about the interactions of the kaiju with one another based on the stuff that happens around them in their environment that has nothing to do with that. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I hope all of this was worth it, because it seems as this is something that he's been wanting to make for a very long time. So, congratulations, I guess.